everybody. We are looking at May 2017. I was working with a client today and I realized we haven't talked in a while about something that I want to bring up again. And May may be the right time. There's something in life called the hero's journey. We see it in almost every story that was ever written, every movie that was ever made, every mythological tale, every folkloric tale, fairy tales, even in songs, especially country, country western music. But it's this idea of the hero, the person at the center of the story, and there's a story that happens to the hero. And they're usually in the story, there's some kind of sense of heartache or disaster. And how does the hero deal with that? How does the hero come back from that? How do they learn and grow? How do they move through it? And that's the hero's journey. It has distinct pieces of it. And these aren't just fictional tales. These are told to show us something about our own lives. And they show us a cycle in life. Part of it's the cycle of our whole life in its entirety, but we have little mini hero journeys that go like every year, every month, every day. We could get thrown into kind of a hero's journey of sorts. And sometimes we seem like we're in a bigger saga than others. Sometimes we have little mini sagas and then everything seems fine. But then sometimes life brings us a larger saga that we have to move through as the hero of our own lives. Because we are each the hero. You are a hero. Whether you feel like one or not, you are a hero. And that's every hero saga usually has an unlikely hero. Most of them are unlikely somehow. They're just average people with flaws, and they have to face huge challenges with just their average skills, but then they find usually something exceptional within them that helps them get through, and they also find help along the way. Help comes in. And that's another part of the wisdom of that tale, is that there is help around us. It may not come in the form we think. It may not always seem to be there. We may doubt it at times that we have help, but the help always seems to come in somehow. But then there are times when we're thrown back on our own strengths and weaknesses, and we have to somehow rise to the occasion or not. And in the hero tale, it starts with the hero being very comfortable in like a home-like space, or just somewhere where they're it's like everyday life and they're kind of accustomed to it, so it feels a bit comfortable, even too comfortable, maybe boring. And then something happens that throws them out of their comfort zone. They have to respond to some kind of call to action. Something happens that's big enough they have to respond, and that starts the hero's journey. And so they're usually thrown out of their comfort zone. They have to go away from where that place was into some land of the unknown. And along the way, they pick up like a ragtag group of friends. That's the help, the metaphorical help. Usually a mentor comes in too, more help. And together with this help that comes in, they manage to get through a cycle of challenges, both small and large. And that's sort of the adventure of it. There's this adventure quality. And it's hard, and then they succeed, and then it's hard, and they seem to get through it, and then it's hard. But then there comes a point in every hero's journey where something really big and bad happens. And the quality of this is that it's truly bad, it's traumatic. The hero is so tired that they don't feel they have the energy to deal with it. Not only are they tired physically usually, but emotionally they're distraught. Emotionally they're at their absolute low. Their friends, the ragtag friends, the help, the metaphorical help seems to have vanished. The mentor, the person, the knowledge, the knowledge they have to cope with something seems to not be enough or gone. And they truly are alone in a very dark place. This is in every hero saga, and therefore in every person's life, in your life, in my life, in everyone's life, there's this cycle. None of us escape it. And sometimes it's very personal. We can't see what other people are going through. We only know our own lives really the best. And so the hero's in this very dark place. And there's a risk at this time, and usually in the stories they kind of show you the risk that the hero's just not going to come out of it. The hero's going to just stay there. They're too tired. They feel like giving up. They lose hope. There's the loss of hope is the worst thing that can happen to a hero. And then, just at the last minute, and just in the nick of time, the hero makes one more effort, and maybe it begins to work. And so they get just a little bit of hope, and they try again, and they get a little bit of traction, and the hope grows, and they literally claw their way out. I mean, in a movie, you'll see the hero like caked in mud, clawing his or her way out of some kind of literally a dark place like a cave or a dungeon. Death even. Sometimes heroes come back from death, and which is the ultimate darkness. And you'll see them, just barely alive, but getting out of some kind of dangerous situation. And that's sometimes, we're not in that real life or death situation, but emotionally and psychically and spiritually, we may be in a very dark place that we feel we can't come back from. And there's just a flicker of something, some kind of internal grit that gives us an idea to maybe do something to help our situation. And we get a glimmer of hope. And then really clawing our way out, maybe over what seems like a long time, and like we'll never quite get there, we do get out of that dark place. Then the hero, the next part of the journey is the hero comes back from this dark place and has overcome something pretty huge. And they usually have some kind of wisdom that they need to go back. It's not that just they want to, they kind of need to go back to the community where they came from, to the world, to the village, to their tribe, to their school, in Harry Potter's case, to your friends. But the hero has to come back and bring knowledge or something, a treasure of some sort, and share and enhance and improve the community as a result. So anywhere along the way, people can get stuck. Especially there's certain classic areas where a hero, where a person can get stuck. And astrology, this is relevant because astrology, if anything, is about human cycles. And we use mythology literally in astrology to help explain the cycle of life. So it's highly relevant, this hero's journey, and it applies to everyone. We're all subject to it. That's why we see it reflected around us in everything, every form of art. It's because sometimes that's the only way we can see is by looking outside ourselves. It's harder to see it in our own lives sometimes. We also see it reflected in nature, the cycle of nature. We can understand, if we understand we're a part of nature, we have our own human cycles, just like an apple tree that can sometimes go dormant and look like it's dead, but then lo and behold, in the spring, little shoots grow and it flowers, and then there's fruit, and it has so much bounty, so much fruit that it shares with the community. People can eat of its fruit, and it also has enough seeds to create more apple trees. So we are like an apple tree. We are like the hero in the hero saga. And I'm going to go through sign by sign, and we're going to talk about how. So just for those who want to learn more astrology, we're looking at Pluto. Pluto is your Persephone cycle. Pluto is your hero's journey. It's the thing that threatens you the most, the thing that was where your biggest fear lies. It's also where your biggest strength lies. So Pluto is the hero's journey. There are other characters or planets or energies here, but we really want to look at Pluto if we want to look at your hero tale. All right. be back with Aries first, and then we'll move through the zodiac and end up at Pisces. Hi Aries, so we are looking at May and your hero saga, and Pluto in your chart, which represents kind of your biggest challenge right now. And what can feel the scariest to you, but it's actually where you're supposed to show courage and leadership in this case, because Saturn's coming in. This is your career and where your career is going and how you want to shape your career. Because where Pluto is, just like the hero saga, it requires change. If anything, the hero's tale tells us that staying in the same place, doing the same old thing day after day is not really what life is all about. It is about a slow, steady process of deep change. And this can happen in many different areas of our world at different times. We have little mini hero sagas and bigger ones that crop up. But your bigger saga right now has to do with your career direction and where you want to take it. And again, I just want to remind you, this is the place that scares you the most. It's the hardest thing for you right now to really focus on. You want to focus on a bazillion other things. You're kind of all over the map where you want to focus, but where the hero's journey wants to take you is into pushing your career through some significant changes and changing it from where it is now. And in May, you may feel this. You may see some of a pathway opening up, or you may feel some of your first challenges along the way in the hero's journey. You can be in different parts of it. You're all going to be in different sections of this hero tale. And this cycle can loop through many times. So it's not like you get to complete it and you're done. It means that like this cycle will repeat for a while, pretty much throughout your life, maybe not always with your career, but the cycle is repeating to get you to keep changing and challenging yourself. And again, it's where you just sometimes feel exhausted and you don't want to do it, or you feel really scared that you can't do it. So this for Aries is career. And so each one of you are going to have your own brand of challenge. It's going to be unique depending on what you're doing for a living and how old you are. But that's where the big story is for you, and probably one of the hardest things for you. Because, and you may think, well, my career is not hard. I don't mind, it's not, my career isn't hard. It doesn't scare me. But I know a lot of Aries, and I know each Aries I know right now is in a significant place of change, where to move forward somehow and to change the things they don't like, they've got to do something that they don't really want to do. And a lot of you guys just are kind of delaying what you need to do. And that's the comfort zone area of the hero's tale. There's the part of the hero's tale where the hero is comfortable enough that they don't have to change, or they think they don't have to change. And so they'll kind of hang out a little longer than they need to in some kind of situation because they're just comfortable enough. There is discomfort there, but they're just comfortable enough where it's really hard to push forward with something that will revolutionize their world and make their world better, and also have them pluck up the courage and show themselves that they have the courage. So you Aries are really in a cycle of needing to show yourself your own courage and grit and magic, the magic you have to change your own life. And the second part of the hero's tale is kind of comes with this call to action. In a fictional novel, something will happen, or in a movie, something happens, and then the person whose life is average or normal or boring, well, suddenly everything changes because of some event, some call to action, something they have to respond to. And it's the same way in humans' lives. If you don't move yourself out of your situation, something may happen to kick you out of your situation, and you have to respond to life. So the next step is when the hero does leave the comfortable situation. And it feels like an adventure at first. Like, ooh, I'm on this big adventure. I'm so excited I left this other thing behind. what might happen. It's so exciting. And even along the way, there's some help that arrives. Miraculously, this help arrives, sometimes in the form of allies, friends, a mentor, some other kind of tangible, understandable help comes to you, and it's exciting. And this is the fun part of the adventure. And then there's going to be a time in the hero's journey when it gets scary and the challenge seems too big, and sometimes your friends seem to disappear, the allies seem to be useless, the knowledge you have seems, worthless, and the hero gets to a dark place and feels like they just can't go on. And why did they ever leave their comfortable zone? Why did they ever leave home? Why did they think they could do this big adventure? And they get a little hopeless. And then in every great hero's tale, the hero, there's just this one little spark of something that makes them start to claw their way out of the darkness, and then they gain a little more hope, and then a little more hope, and somehow they get out of that funk. They get out of the dark place, and they go forth, and they conquer whatever their challenge is. And then the piece a lot of people don't think about a lot is that the hero then, once they've gone to that dark place and come out, they have not only something very valuable, it's like a treasure chest they're building with jewels and gold. As every time they do this, it fills them up inside, it fills you up inside every time you conquer something. Something has been given to you that nobody could ever take away every time you conquer something. And it's this treasure chest that grows and grows. So not only does the hero get this growing sense of strength and inner stability, but the hero can go back out into the community and share that. So I don't know where you are on your little journey, Aries, but think about the hero's journey as you go through really your whole life. But may remind yourself that sometimes where your fears are the worst, and where you just think it's impossible and you just can't do it, especially as it relates to your career and maybe even your image in the world, how people see you. This is the fear you need to push against. This is the fear you need to challenge. This is the fear you need to conquer. And have faith that the friends will arrive. Like here we see a grand, like all these squares and a grand cross, but Jupiter's the friends, the partners. In the dark place you have the moon in Cancer, so ultimately nurturing, and some spark related to moon and Cancer will pull you out. Maybe it's a woman, maybe it's your mother, maybe it's how you grew up, some strength from childhood. And then the gift you have is knowledge, true knowledge that you can share, and also maybe speak about or write about. But there is, for you especially, this idea of true knowledge to share. So good luck in May, and have a good time on your hero's journey. So Taurus, your hero's journey in May, and really your whole life, and especially you're in a long phase of this hero's journey, so it's not just May, but I thought it was a good time to bring it up because we have a lot of squares and a grand cross, and there may be challenges that feel like, man, I just can't get this is not happening, or why can't we get past this, or why, it may just feel like some challenges come up from that just seem so big, and may feel dark for some of you. I'm not saying that May is going to be bad at all, but I think it's a good time to remind ourselves that we're heroes of our own journey. And there are different phases of the hero's tale, and sometimes the hero's celebrating and coming back to the metaphorical village, back into humanity with a celebration and a clear prize, a clear victory. And so you may well be at the victory stage. This may be a time of celebration, but there are other parts to the hero's tale. So let's review those. First of all, Pluto, which rules your hero's journey, is interacting with lots of other things, but Pluto is in your 9th house. So this is literally like world travel. If it's not traveling the world physically, it's traveling the world of ideas. And some of them scary and challenging to you. There's some scary ideas out there, and scary, and there's darkness out there. There's darkness out there in the world of ideas. And as you push forward, opening your own mind and learning new things, it can scare you. It can scare you. Maybe your own power can scare you. Maybe your own, and some of your darkness can scare you. Some of your own power can scare you. And it makes it hard to continue the path of opening your mind and learning new ideas. Really, like, these are very foreign ideas. So they may be foreign spiritually. They may be foreign to you in terms of subject matter. They may be foreign to you in terms of philosophy. But, something about it is hard for you. It's a little scary. And the hero always begins the hero's journey in this place of safety, of not really, maybe they want change, they yearn for change, but the safety's so comfortable that they stay there and they won't change. They stay somewhere too long because it's just a little too comfortable. And so in the world of learning and opening our minds to things that are truly different and foreign to us, things we've never considered before, maybe learning about a religion that's very different. It's hard. Some people get scared of that. They don't want to learn anything about another religion because it feels threatening to their own religion, or their own worldview. Philosophy is so comfortable and they're clinging to it and the world is changing around them, and they don't want to go learn another philosophy or start to learn other ways to look at life because it threatens their old worldview. It feels scary. So they'd rather just stay comfortable in what they know. This is you, Taurus. This is you over the last few years and now especially. And so for you to continue on the path you're meant to continue on, it means walking through, the uncomfortable spaces in your mind and learning about the world. And again, it could be any subject matter, but often it's the world, anything that would be taught in a university, especially an old classical university. So that's when universities taught religion and the law and literature, usually the great hero sagas. So it can be in the world of publishing and writing, entertainment even. But it really could be anything. I think it's very individual to you. So that's the area that's challenging for you and scary for you somehow. And along the way, like if you leave your comfort zone, which the hero has to do, along the way you'll find help and friends and allies and just some kind of interesting books to read, an interesting lecture to go to, an interesting trip to take, or just the right newspaper article lands, in your vision, on your Facebook feed, on your Twitter feed, that just the right thing arrives and helps you see something in a new way, that gives you hope. And for some of you, there may be some medical things going on where your hope needs to include things about health. So I don't know why. It could be somebody in your family who needs that. It could be your job has something to do with health. Not always, but maybe now. Some people, if you work in a marketing company or advertising firm, maybe you've got a client and it's health related. If you work in the government in the United States right now, you've got all this healthcare stuff going on. Sometimes health, even if we're not doctors, the theme of health can go through our lives, even at work, when our work isn't typically about health, just to help you open your mind a bit and to see what this might be. But sometimes it's a person who needs help. Could be you need to research and find new ways of thinking about your health and what is health, what's underlying all of this health stuff that's going on in your world. And this is challenging for you. It's hard. It's not easy to open your mind for some reason. I think it threatens some old way of looking at things. And so the hero, gets help, and you will get help and are getting help. But then there are points along the way in this hero's tale. And remember, it cycles through all the time. It never ends. It just keeps going. There are points along the way in your journey where you feel lost and hopeless and like everything's abandoned you. Maybe your health has abandoned you. Maybe the world of ideas has, run dry or seems to have. Maybe it feels like your friends, your siblings, people around you aren't there for you. And that's when, in the hero's tale, the hero is in danger of losing hope and just kind of staying lost. But the hero always tries just one more thing, or just gets up one more day and opens his or her eyes and keeps going. And then something happens to help the hero crawl their way out of this, and sometimes claw their way, claw by claw, climbing out of this cave. And the hero conquers this particular phase of life and usually comes back with some knowledge and strength to go forward, and not only to go forward themselves and to make themselves stronger, but they have something to share with others at this point. And they're meant to go out into the world and share something and give back. That's a part of the hero's tale. And the hero can get stuck anywhere along here and not want to, or not try to, or think they can't complete any one of these phases. So I don't know where you are, Taurus, but this is just a little snippet of your hero's tale. So think about that in May. Take care. Hi, Gemini. So we're talking about where Pluto is in your chart and how the series of squares and the Grand Cross is shaping up in your own hero's saga. And different Geminis will be in different places on this kind of wheel of the hero's tale. Some of you are celebrating. There's a time in the hero's journey where the heroes conquered everything at that time, because there's always more, but conquered everything that there has been, and or made a significant breakthrough, or just accomplished one impressive thing, and they're celebrating. So that might be you in May. But there are other parts of the hero's tale. There are going to be parts where you're in something kind of comfortable, so comfortable that you don't want to leave it, but yet there's a feeling that maybe it's time to leave it. And then there's a part of the hero's tale where they're thrown out of their comfortable situation and they have to go out on a journey, a quest, an adventure. And it's a little scary but exciting at the same time. And they have this ragtag group of allies or friends, or maybe just metaphorical help that comes to them just at the right time to help them on their journey. And then there's a place of darkness where hope is lost. And then there's the time of crawling out of that hopeless place and coming back into the world, into the light, and having the time of celebration and sharing, what one learned, what one can give back to the community. So where are you, Gemini? Pluto, which is the big signifier of your hero's tale, is in your 8th house. So this is so wide-ranging that all the houses have lots and lots of layers to them, but the 8th house can be really confounding. One of the cleanest and most often talked about areas of the 8th house is financial. So maybe there is a financial fear that you have, and it's been driving you. This fear is very deep for you, especially in the 8th house. Pluto in the 8th house, while it's at home and can be used to great advantage by you, Pluto is also amplifying 8th house fears, which are security, will I be taken care of? There are forces larger than me at play. There are forces larger than me that might hurt me. I'm not in complete control here, and this is scary. Other people are pulling the strings. I don't like this. It's a time that can be psychologically dark, and so part of the hero's journey here could be finding their way out of psychological darkness. This is also a time when people's past can come back and haunt them. One can't quite close all those dark cubby holes and closets where we want to stuff all of the things we don't want to look at. This is a time when secrets tend to just ooze out into the world, and some maybe not out into the public light, but into our own mind. It's like we can't escape ourselves, and we can, of course, but this is the stuff that the kind of thing Pluto can bring up that's scary to you. Just the darkness is always there in your mind sometimes, and it's hard to overcome. And some of it may be a fear around money and security. There's also maybe sexual fear for some people. They may be dealing with issues of intimacy that are quite hard for them. Just a bazillion ways that could play out in a person's life, but intimacy might be an issue, or secrets from the past might be an issue. Anyway, that's where your big hero's tale is wanting you to focus. And it's saying, Pluto is always saying, just as much as it brings in the challenge and the fear and all the dark stuff, it's also saying, always whispering to you, you can overcome this, you can overcome this, you can overcome this. There's a way out of this darkness. There's a way out. And it can be good. And there's treasure here. Sometimes literal in the 8th house. There's treasure here. You can overcome this. And so that's the place of darkness. But, there are other points of light. When the hero is in this, starting the hero's saga in this very comfortable place, and not wanting to get pulled out of their comfort zone, inevitably, if they won't leave it of their own accord, the world will kick them out of their comfort zone, into something that's uncomfortable, and it's scary, and the hero needs to rise to the challenge in a variety of ways. But help will always be there. There's always this sort of mystical help that's just there as a part of being in this new scary place. And so then the hero has this time when it just seems adventurous, and there are people helping the hero, or there's just some form of help, and it feels doable and exciting. And then there's a time always when the hero feels, dark and alone and lost and a bit hopeless. And that can be a time when the hero's in danger. It feels always like the hero can't come out of it. Like maybe the hero's in danger of just staying stuck in darkness and hopelessness. But then something happens. There's just this little spark of hope, or the hero tries just one little thing, and it works, and the hero has renewed hope, and that hope drives the hero to come out of that darkness, and then come back with some kind of internal nugget of gold, some strength that they will never be lost. Once they have it, will never be lost. And they then have the opportunity to celebrate and share, and to help others. So Gemini, for you, it has a lot to do with possibly children, if you have them. There's stuff around children, your creative work, gambling, and money. There's some definitely money issues here. Are the stakes too high, or are you not betting enough? Are you fearful to take chances? Is something holding you back from going as far as you can go with something in your career, with your future? Are you holding yourself back somehow? That would be the big question for a Gemini. All right, Gemini, so think about this in May, and I hope it helps give you a frame of reference for what's going on for you and where life really is asking you to rise to the challenge. All right. Hi, Cancer. We are talking about your hero's journey, and the big signifier here is Pluto. But we've got, a fair degree of oppositional stuff going on, and squares, and there's a big grand cross. So I think all points of the hero's tale are highlighted here. So it's a good time to bring it up, because it affects kind of the wheel of the chart, and also the cycle that you're on in your life. So Pluto, for you guys, is showing up in your house of partnerships. So partnerships are your biggest challenge. Partnering in business, so how to for a salesperson, there's this big fear around and challenge around sales. For somebody who's in a personal relationship and you're married or you're in a long-term relationship, this relationship is what challenges you most and where a lot of your fear is, but life is asking you to rise to the challenge, to overcome something about this relationship. So for some people, it would mean leaving the relationship. For some people, it means you've got to keep trying. This is the place where life wants you to go out of your comfort zone and to try. But for some people, going out of the comfort zone is leaving the relationship. Some people, when things get hard, don't run away, but you've got to decide. Pluto's dark, so some of you, if you're in an abusive relationship, Pluto's not saying stay, it's saying get out of your comfort zone. There's something, you're clinging to something that's really bad for you. So Pluto can be saying, leave this comfortable situation because it's dark, guys. It's dark, man. Get out of there. But sometimes Pluto is saying relationships are scary. Intimacy is scary. This is when your fears around getting abandoned or fears around it not working or fears that you're inadequate may prevent you from working on your relationship. Or any, if you're like overly jealous or you're overly suspicious, you've got to work on that stuff so you don't drive a good person away. It just depends on your issue, but that's where the big hero's journey is for the average Cancer. And so the 4 parts of the hero's journey are the comfort zone. The hero always starts in kind of a comfort zone, something that's just comfortable enough and familiar enough that it's hard for them to pitch themselves out of it. They're kind of a little bit stuck, even if it's like a happy kind of stuck. But it's a little too comfy and cozy, and they need to grow. So there's a comfort zone. There's the part of the journey where you get kicked out of or pushed out of the comfort zone. And usually when the hero is kicked out of their comfort zone, this is when help comes, so they're not all alone. They may form ally relationships. They may just get help of some sort, so they're never fully alone. And then they have sort of adventures with being out of the comfort zone. And then there's a time in every hero saga where the hero goes into a time of darkness and hopelessness. Like, I can't do this. Why did I ever leave that situation? Why did I ever leave that abusive person? At least I had a home. At least I was in a relationship. At least I wasn't dead. I was only beaten. That the hero can convince him or herself that maybe this was all a bad idea. I never should have tried to go into business for myself. I never should have tried to do blah, blah, blah. Why? And hopelessness and despair. But then something kind of sparks. There's just this one last little spark of hope somewhere deep inside, and the hero tries one more time. And they claw their way out of the cave of darkness, and they come back strengthened, because they did conquer the ultimate darkness. And once a person's done that, it can never be taken away from a person. Once a person's overcome an addiction, even one time, and they go back, but every time you conquer something, you build a reservoir of strength, internal strength. And so not only does the hero have it for him or herself, but it's meant to be, when the hero conquers all, to come back and celebrate and share with humanity somehow. So that's the cycle. And all of the Cancers out there are going to be different parts of the cycle. You're not all going to be in a dark cave when I talk to you now. You're not all going to be celebrating. You're not all going to be in your place of comfort. You're not all going to be in that time of high adventure, making new friends. But you're going to be in some part of this. And just know that it will complete its cycle, although sometimes people do tend to get stuck in the darkness. Sometimes people get stuck. The 2 places people really get stuck are in the dark and despair and in the comfort zone. The other places are they're not as prone to be stuck places because they're full of more movement, but the 2 stuck places are the comfort zone and not wanting to leave that, and not wanting to leave the pit of despair. So where are you, Cancer? Just use this as a frame of reference. Know that you are the hero of your own tale. And if you do leave your comfort zone, help will arrive. It always does. Sometimes just in the nick of time, but it always arrives. But it does feel challenging. It's not comfortable. And know that if you're in the pit of despair, that there may just be the smallest flicker of hope that can push you forward, even though it feels like clawing your way out of a deep, deep pit with, where you're literally crawling out, hand by hand, and it's hard and you're exhausted, but there is a little flicker of hope that can keep you going. And so there is hope. And then if you're celebrating, it's appropriate to celebrate sometimes, and appropriate to share, to feel good about what you've gained, but also to share and give back. Sometimes people can go through the celebration phase without giving back. That's one kind of flaw there. And then I think going through the phase where you get help, people can get stuck in getting help from others and not maybe helping themselves, or vice versa. They may reject help from others. So there are little snafus and pitfalls along the way. Try to identify where you are and use the wisdom of the hero's journey. It's been around as long as people have been around. Use the wisdom of it to get yourself motivated, comforted, and give yourself a little hope. All right, take care. Hi, Leo. Wasn't sure I turned the camera back on. So we are talking about May and your hero's journey. And for the Leo, Pluto is kind of what rules the hero's tale, and it's occupying your 6th house. So the 6th house is interesting. So some of you have health challenges. And it doesn't mean something bad. Some of you do have something bad, and just we've got to acknowledge that. Some of you have a disease that you're trying to live with in a way that's doable. Some of you, have something bigger going on with your health. But with Pluto, there's always the suggestion that one can face the fear and move forward somehow. So as challenging as it may seem, there's always with Pluto the idea that we have the power to face our fears. But the 6th house is more than just that. So a lot of Leos will have health, like getting back on track after an injury, or maybe it's some sort of change in diet, or kicking in an addiction, or whatever it is. A lot of you are on this journey of, transforming your health, but there's more here. This is also the classical house of Virgo. In your chart, it's also occupied by Capricorn. So there's a lot of earthy, practical wisdom here for you, Leo. So for a Leo, typically this is a place where you need to slow down. And Leos have a hard time, or it may feel challenging, because with Pluto here, it's going to feel like a challenge to slow down and have enough bandwidth and organization in your life to focus on your wellness picture. So it goes beyond physical health. It goes into mental health and spiritual health, emotional health, and just having quality of life. So this is where a person is asked to balance life. And it may involve facing other fears that a Leo might have. They could be fears about relationship, fears about friendship, fears about children, fears about the world at large. Big changes in the world may scare Leos right now. Leo is a fixed sign, and Leo, as a fixed sign, more than other signs, except the other fixed signs, likes the comfort zone very much. They like to feel very comfortable. They don't want to be threatened. They want to have their territory, and So in the hero's tale, the first part of as it begins, there's always this idea of the comfort zone and not wanting to leave the comfort zone. And that's definitely a Leo anyway. So there are places in your life where you're comfortable, and maybe you want a relationship, or maybe you want children, or maybe you want to start a creative project, or maybe you want to travel more, but fear, maybe you want to go to school, but there are fears that sometimes hold you back. And you may be doing some of these things, but not others. And there's this idea of balance in a Leo's life. A Leo may be exclusively traveling and learning and not paying attention to some other things in life that are also important. So the idea here is not just to go after one thing, but to find balance in your schedule and therefore in your life. So allocating enough of all the things a Leo needs. And so that comfort zone, sometimes if we get really comfortable in our work schedule, we become workaholics and we don't do anything else. Sometimes we get stuck not wanting to work, and so it makes it hard to go do the things we need to do because we like our home and we don't want to go to work, and it's so hard to get out of bed. I don't know what your challenge is, but each Leo has some kind of challenge where they don't want the change. They don't want to have to push because they're comfortable where they are, and why try? And trying is scary because what if I fail? So there's a comfort zone. There's getting kicked out of the comfort zone, which inevitably happens whether you want it or not. Eventually you'll get kicked out of your comfort zone. And then there's the adventure, and it can feel kind of exhilarating and fun, and then help arrives. And you conquer some of these fears, and you do things you never imagined you could do, but then the challenges start to mount, or one big challenge comes, and help doesn't seem to arrive, and then the hero, can feel very lost and scared and alone and hopeless. And then how does that hero get out of that? There's a danger of staying there, staying stuck and hopeless, deciding that they can't do it. But in the hero's tale, the hero just takes a little bit of effort, a tiny spark of hope, a tiny step forward, and suddenly the hero's out of that stuck place. They claw their way out of that hole, and they gain some kind of strength from that, some internal treasure that nobody can take away from them. And then they can celebrate. It's appropriate to take time to celebrate. And it's also appropriate to share with others and help others along the way. If you've overcome something, you have something to share. So that's the cycle of it. And then after the hero's like celebrating and sharing and feeling good, they can get stuck again. So that's kind of the cycle. Where are you in that cycle? All Leos are going to be in different places with that. But the key for you guys, it may be your health, but part of the key to fixing your health may be balance. There's this idea of probably doing too much and having difficulty in balancing everything, taking time to do all the appropriate things that bring happiness into a person's life. So that's the challenge. Something about your schedule just remains challenging. So finding balance and letting go of anxiety about what is going on at work, what is going on in the world, what is going on in your travel schedule. Letting go, releasing some anxiety around that will also help the health picture. All right, Leo, take care. Hi, Virgo. So we're talking about what is going on in your hero journey cycle. So we're looking at, first of all, where Pluto is. And for a Virgo, Pluto is occupying the 5th house. And the 5th house is an interesting place to have the hero's journey, the biggest fear, the darkest spot for you. For some of you, it's around children. There are going to be some challenges with children, some darkness there. So it could be stuff from the past. It could be some of your kids are going through challenges of their own. It could be your parenting relationship is facing some challenge. But remember that the word challenge also suggests you can overcome it. Challenge means you can push against it and work with it and face the fear and move forward. But remember, after all, it's a hero's journey. It's not just about the fear and the challenge. It's about conquering and gaining wisdom and maturing and growing. So remember that as we talk about it, because the fears are big for everybody in different parts of the world, and they can psych them out. Fears can psych a person out. It happens to all of us. So your psych out is about sometimes kids. A big one is romance, being psyched out by a romantic partner or the prospect of romance, or your current relationship could be a psych out where fear of relaxing into a fun, romantic relationship, the fear of having fun romantically, which I don't know. I mean, it's like a lot of Virgos are dating or married, but the fear is about relaxing into it, enjoying the fun. The fear is about letting go and being childlike, in the sense of, how do I want to say it? In the sense of, not becoming the child in the relationship or something icky, but it's more childlike in outlook on life, trusting. So there's an element of trust here, a fear of trusting things to be fun and therefore good. It's like, I want to say, in the realm of romance and relationship, it's the idea pattern may go, if I have too much fun or relax too much or lose my trust, something bad might happen. Something like that. I can't trust myself would be another. I can't trust myself. Trust issues all around. I can't trust men, women, whoever. I can't trust people. I can't trust relationships never work. There may be some thought patterns in there that kind of psych you out. And even if you're in a relationship, you could be married and have a hard time trusting or having fun. Maybe life has gotten very serious for some of you and it's hard to just relax. So that's your biggest challenge, is actually having fun, trying to preserve and clear away the debris so that you can get in touch with your childlike trust and wonder and playfulness in life. There's a playfulness that's scary. It's almost scary. It sounds funny because it's like, why would it? But it's like the Virgos out there have fear around being playful and fun. Like just playing seems maybe like it doesn't serve a purpose, or it's not going to get you anywhere. You've been through so much that play seems frivolous. And, there's, for some of you, maybe there's good reason to feel that way, but this is, like I said, it's the hero's journey. This is what scares the bejesus out of you, and it's one of your biggest challenges. And so, in the hero's journey, there's the place of the comfort zone. This is where the heroes start. So for those of you in this romantic situation, it's just too comfortable to push further. It's comfortable just to stay wherever you are romantically, whether you're in relationship or out. It's just too comfortable. It's too scary to get out of your comfort zone. And it's just, too safe. It feels a little too safe to stay stuck. But inevitably something's going to kick you out of your comfort zone. The hero doesn't have much choice in this. Eventually, if you don't push yourself out, you'll be pushed out of your comfort zone and have to deal with something. So it could be around, again, for those with children, there's some comfort zone issues and not wanting to face certain things with children issues, romantically. It's something about letting go and trusting. And there's, even with the fifth house, gambling on life. Gambling, just, it's that sense of freedom that's hard for a Virgo to access right now. And also creatively, there are a lot of fears around creativity, fears of living creatively, fears of playing with your creativity, and there's a stuck quality there. So it's not all about the stuck place in the comfort zone. The hero, as I said, will inevitably be kicked out of the comfort zone, and then there's like the sense of adventure, help may arrive, things can seem fun for a while, and you overcome some challenges, and then again, in the cycle, at some point there's going to be a time when it just feels too hard, and you're too exhausted, and you don't think you can do it, whatever it is, and there's a real kind of allure to be hopeless, to just give up, because wouldn't it just feel so good just to give up and not have to try? And, it would relieve you of all the courage you've had to pluck up and the strength you've had to show. You wouldn't have to do any of that stuff anymore if you could just lose hope. But in the hero's journey, there's just this little spark of hope left, this little bit of effort that the hero puts forth, and then they see that there is some way to move out of that darkness. And then once the hero does, there's a time to celebrate and to have fun and to give back to the community and share whatever it is you've learned. And then sometimes the hero can get a little too comfortable in that, like, yay, I'm safe, I've done it, it's done. And then they get stuck again in that sense of safety. So that's the cycle. Where are you in it? And with those themes, what's going on for you? Can you identify where you are, and perhaps if you're stuck, where are you stuck? All right, take care. Hi Libra. So we are talking about the hero's journey in May. Of course, it's going on all the time, but I thought May would be a good time to talk about it. We do have a fair degree of square relationships going on in a grand cross, and so it kind of picks up on the cycle of the hero's journey by hitting all these points of the chart. Pluto is the main driver of the hero's journey, and it's where we have all of our fears stashed at the moment, and also where our biggest challenge is to push against that fear and face it. So for the average Libra, there's stuff from the past, and there's stuff on the home front. So your past and the home front, stuff in the home and with your family, is scary to you. And so it may be that there's a dark past there, something to do with parents. It could be that the home situation has been really challenging for years. And you're scared the most about maybe being a parent, or about the atmosphere in the home, or maybe you feel like your home is a scary place. Maybe something about your home situation is scary, like you live in a bad neighborhood, or you're scared of being robbed, or you're scared of something, a fire. There may just be like hard to pinpoint fears about being at home. Maybe it's hard to be at home alone. I don't know, but there's some fears there in the home area. Maybe it's around selling, because the hero's journey always begins where we're a little too safe and a little too comfortable, but we need to move on. So for some of you, it's like maybe clinging to an apartment or a house or a piece of land, or a neighborhood, a town, a state, when you've outgrown it. You're ready to move on. Maybe to find love, maybe, I don't know, maybe just for yourself, maybe for a career, but it's hard for you to leave where you are. It's hard for you to leave your home or your state or your town, and that's where your challenge is. So I'm not saying all Libras need to leave their home. I don't know. Yours could be slightly different from that, but that's one possibility. It's wherever you're feeling a little too comfortable, a little too safe, but you need some change. So just to remind you the different parts of the hero's saga, and you can kind of think about where you are on this. Not everybody's going to be in that too stuck in comfort place. Some people have already been kicked out of their comfort zone. They've had to leave over the past 7+ years, 7, 8 years. They've been kicked out of their comfort zone with respect to home and family. And so it's already occurred, but you're still feeling uneasy in this area somehow. But so you may be out on the road of adventure, trying new things, facing new challenges out of that comfort zones because you had to move, where you left your family or changes happened in the family. And you've had maybe some adventure, excitement, trying new things. Maybe new friends showed up, help showed up with whatever issues you've had. And, time after time, maybe you've had some high adventure and really showed yourself that you can handle some things. But then there's always a time in the hero's journey where the hero feels friendless and lost and without resources and alone and hopeless and dark. And they feel like it'll never change. This is and they don't have the energy to change anything. And but then there's just this little spark of hope, and just a little, maybe they take one small action just because they're the hero, and they realize they can get out of that dark place. And then there's a time to celebrate, a time to go back into a place of comfort and celebration, and also to give back to others, to show other people what you've learned, and to help others who might be facing darkness or challenge, or maybe too comfortable, having a hard time getting out of a comfortable situation. So all those are part of your journey somehow. Where are you on it? The places of stuckness we've reviewed, like there's the stuckness of comfort, there's the stuckness of hopelessness. There's also, people can go a little wonky in friendship and help. Some people rely too much on help and they don't realize their own strength. They're having a hard time relying on themselves. Some people only want to rely on themselves and they have a hard time letting other people help them. In the place of celebration and giving back, people can get caught up in the celebration and not give back. Some people can get caught up in the giving and being of service and never celebrate. So there are places in here. Where are you on this wheel? Just think about that as a frame of reference for whatever is going on in your life in May. Take care. Hi Scorpio, welcome. We are talking about your hero's journey. And so the main driver of the hero's journey is Pluto. And right now for Scorpios, Pluto is occupying the third house. And there are many, many meanings, just as with any house, many meanings for the third house. One is school, teaching and learning something new. And so you could be the teacher, you could be the student, picking up a new skill. This is also a place of writing and messaging, contracts. So something here scares you. So if you're a teacher, maybe it's a new role and maybe you feel inadequate somehow. You're scared of your role as teacher. Something frightens you about this. As a student learning something new, it may be scary to learn something new. And you have fears about your ability to learn. There could be fears about, oddly, there could be some little fears at things like driving, things like commuting, walking around. For some of you, you may have been, over the past 9 or so years, 7, 8, 9, somewhere there, years, moving around, like you may have some little phobias about it, or maybe from something from childhood scares you about, that's like for some of you, not all of you, but there may be some fears and challenges around friendships, siblings, cousins, and keeping those relationships. There may have been some challenges and hardships there, so maybe stuff that was just hard for the family. And there's a challenge sometimes to say things the way you mean to say them. So messaging for you is not always easy. And there's something that scares you about it. You have some underlying fear about how you say stuff, how you communicate. There's fear there. You also realize, or maybe some of you realize, some of you don't, that this is a big place of power. Your words carry power. And some of you may be scared of that power. Some of you may not know you have that power. But there's a challenge with how you communicate to others. So it could be through working on a writing project, or again in teaching. Some of you are just scared, plain scared of your own power. even if you use it, even if part of the day or part of the time you're also out there using your power appropriately, you may still have fears around it. So the parts of the hero's journey, see if you can see where you are here. One is getting caught in a comfort zone and just feeling so comfortable it's a little hard to leave. So maybe let's take the role of teacher. Like you've been teaching second grade or whatever, or a certain subject matter, and you really, you're kind of tired of teaching second grade. Maybe you want to teach fifth grade, or maybe instead of teaching math, you just love history. You would like to branch out into some other thing, or maybe you just want to go off and leave teaching altogether and learn something new. But you're a little too cozy in that second grade habit of teaching second grade and teaching math. And you're just comfortable enough, the salary is good enough, hopefully, for a teacher. And, you've got friends and the schedule is good. It's just a little too comfortable for you to stretch and do something new. That could be one thing. Also with relationships, maybe you would like to improve a relationship with a sibling or a cousin, but it's just good enough. You're worried about rocking the boat. Like, what if you tried to get closer to someone? It could be a friend too. What if you tried to get closer to someone and it ruined it? Like, instead of having just the okay arm's length kind of relationship, you tried to get closer and then it just blew apart. You may have fears about that, and about you messing things up with how you say things or something. Just by way of example, I don't know exactly what it is, but you have some fear around. There's also this sense of not trusting oneself, not trusting how you think, not trusting how you speak, a little bit of fear about yourself and how you express yourself. So there's a comfort zone part of the hero's cycle. There's getting kicked out and having, suddenly you're fired from your second grade teaching job. You have to go teach fifth grade somewhere else. You have to teach history and not math. And then it's kind of exciting, it's new, it's scary, it's exciting, but then help arrives. People come to help you. You have a teacher's assistant. You have textbooks you can use. There's help. You do have a job. That's help. But then, on the hero's journey, there's always this dark time when things just seem too challenging and the hero is too physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted, spiritually exhausted, and they're not sure they can do it, whatever it is. And yet, because it's the hero, because you're a hero, you try one more thing. You put one more foot forward. You get up one more day and you move on. And then somehow the hero makes his or her way out of the darkness, out of the time of hopelessness, and can maybe celebrate getting past something difficult. They can feel good again. And also give back to the community, give back some sort of wisdom from that dark time and place, and getting through some challenges. And then the hero goes back to a place of comfort. And then the cycle just keeps going and going. So where are you in that cycle? And where might you, maybe you're just, moving along, flowing through the cycle just beautifully, but are you stuck somewhere? Are you stuck in a place of comfort? Are you in the time when the hero goes out and maybe makes new friends and receives help? Are you having a hard time accepting help, even though it's being offered? Are you having a hard time with relying on yourself and relying too much on the help? Are you stuck in that place of darkness and you feel hopeless? Are you stuck just celebrating and not giving back? Are you stuck always in service to others, always giving and not celebrating? Where are you? So it's just something to think about as you move through May. All right, take care. Hi, Sagittarius. We are talking about the hero's journey, the hero's tale, the hero's saga, and where are you in that? What's going on for Sagittarius? So the driving force in the hero's tale is Pluto. And so wherever Pluto is in your chart, this is where your biggest challenge and your biggest fear is. And there's also the cycle where different Sagittarius people are going to be in different parts of the cycle. Where are you? So Pluto is occupying your second house, and there are many, many layers to the second house meanings. Some of you, it's your biggest fear has to do with your career, your job. It's really, a lot of you have fears around keeping a job, ways to make money. Making money and spending money is somehow scary for you. You have fears around money. You may, some of you may doubt that you're able to earn money. Some of you may doubt that you'll be able to get a job or that you'll be able to keep a job. There's a lot of fear around these issues for many Sagittarius people. So fears of spending, earning, the ability to earn, the ability to keep a job, the ability to be able to do the work, the daily work that it takes to get money. Maybe some people doubt, they don't trust themselves with money. So some of you may not trust yourself the way you manage it or spend it. This is also an area of value. Some of you may have fears around your own value system. You may sometimes not trust yourself. You may not trust your own values. You may have issues around fears around the darkness inside. All of us have a place where we can go a little dark. And it's good to know, Sagittarius, that it's normal to have dark thoughts or to have done maybe some bad things in the past, and to be remorseful and to want to move on. It's good to forgive yourself if you're having a tough time forgiving yourself for things that have happened in your past. Sometimes your past can cling to you and make you feel like you're a bad person. But try to recognize that this is the human condition. And Pluto's asking you to face this fear, any of these fears, and to try to move through them through the hero's journey. So the hero's journey involves several phases. I'm greatly simplifying, but we have a matter of time here. So the first phase is this time of being a little too comfortable, being a little stuck in a situation because it's too scary to change, too scary to leave, and it's just a little too comfortable where you are to have to leave. And so maybe it's a job, maybe it's a kind of budget you set for yourself. It's too scary to let go of that budget because what would happen? You might wreck your finances. It's too scary to buy something because it's too much of a commitment. What if you buy the wrong thing and then you've wasted all that money? You may have fears around that. What if you did trust yourself? What would happen then? It's better just not to, and just to stay kind of buttoned down and listen to everybody else. And what do they think? What do they think I should do? What is that person doing? I'll just do that. I won't have to think for myself. I can't trust myself anyway. Notice if anything is going on for you like that. It's also an area of marriage. So maybe the idea of marriage is scaring you. Maybe your marriage is scaring you. Maybe you're engaged and you're terrified. And marriage is a cycle. It's definitely a cycle of, feeling like you're on this big adventure. And it does take a type of courage and a sense of being a hero to even get to the place of, agreeing to get married. And definitely every married couple will tell you it's a journey. And there are different points, highs and lows along the way. So it could have something to do with marriage themes. So it could be about getting married, about your own marriage. It's just something about relationships that's fearful for you. So there's a place of comfort in getting stuck and just not wanting to move forward or backward or sideways because it's just, you're a little too comfortable where you are, wherever that is. So it could be in a job, could be in a relationship, could be in a place of not trusting yourself and just always listening to others. And then there's this idea that the hero is always kicked out of the place of comfort. So if they won't leave it on their own when there's sort of a call to action and a reason to maybe try to leave it, life will kick them out eventually. So the hero, you know, all of us, we have to get kicked out occasionally from our comfort place. And so sometimes that means we're kicked out of a job. Sometimes we're kicked out of a marriage. Sometimes we're forced to rely on our own value system, forced to listen to ourselves and not others. And then it can be both scary and challenging when we get kicked out of whatever it is, and also exhilarating and fun, a little bit of fun. And then help always seems to arrive when there's the courage. Even if we're kicked out and we didn't choose it, we still have to be courageous. And life always seems to come in with some kind of help. And sometimes people have a hard time recognizing help when it arrives because they're too scared. They want to go back to the comfort place. So maybe not everyone's recognizing the help, but it's always there. It comes in the form of friends, allies, just a helping hand. And so then the hero kind of goes through this journey, this exhilarating journey of change. Then there's a time in the hero's journey where they get into a really dark place. All their effort seems to have gone to nothing. They feel like they never should have left that job. They never should have left that marriage. They should never have trusted themselves because look what happened. And they're in a place of feeling hopeless and dark, and like whatever challenges before them is just too big. And but always in the hero's tale, the hero tries just one more little thing. There's one more like show of trying, one more little piece of strength left. But they somehow move forward out of the darkness. And then there's a time that is like celebration and giving back to the community. From the lessons, the wisdom, the treasure that the heroes gained by going through all the adventures and into the darkness, they come out of it with something, whether it's just wisdom, you know, or maybe it's a real kind of treasure, but in the hero's tales, often treasure, but it's meant to be, to show other kinds of treasures that maybe not so easy to understand, not so material and concrete. So we can be in any one of these places in our journey. So where are you? Do you recognize any of these stages? Especially with the area that we talked about in the second house. We can also be stuck in any one of those areas. We can be stuck in the stuck place of feeling too comfortable. We can be stuck in the place of darkness and hopelessness. We can be stuck a little bit when we're out on the high road of adventure, not wanting to accept help from others, not allowing that ragtag band of friends that always seems to arrive for, you know, like Frodo or whatever, on the adventure. We can push people away or push help away, and that can be a kind of a stuckness because things don't go so well, or we're exhausted. Then some people can be stuck in that they rely a little too much on others, and they have a hard time trusting themselves and relying on their own strength. Also, when they come out of the dark place, they can get a little stuck in the celebration, feeling like everything's behind them and nothing ever has to happen again. Or they can be stuck in always being of service, always feeling like their duty is to give back. They never celebrate, never feel comfortable again, just always feel like they have to, like a, you know, hamster on a wheel, give back, and then they never have fun. So where are you? So Sagittarius, think about where you are on this wheel. Think about what is scaring you the most of the things we talked about. And maybe it's just, you know, I don't know where you are individually, so I can't say like what you should do or what your chart says really, but sometimes if you just know, if you can identify for yourself what you're scared of and where you are in the cycle, it might be beneficial. All right, take care. Hi Capricorn, so we're talking about the hero's journey and where you are on that, and also where it's hitting your chart. So Pluto drives the hero's journey. It's where we're the most fearful at the moment, and also where our biggest challenge is, and where we're supposed to be courageous. And Pluto's in your sign, and so it's a lot about being yourself, being you, and being okay with who you are. So, warts and all. Not that you have warts, but if you do, be okay with it. But, being comfortable in your own skin and just allowing people to either like you or not, and just being okay with yourself is really one of the biggest challenges for a Capricorn right now. It's one of your biggest fears, just being you. There's something, maybe you just think others don't like you or you don't like you, and it's time to go on the adventure of learning to like yourself, the adventure of learning to go for it without the permission of others. Don't wait for others to give you permission. Just like yourself and trust yourself enough to go for whatever it is you want to do. And that's in your career, it looks like. And maybe even at home, how you run things at home, how you deal with family, how you deal with the past, and so that's where Pluto is, and where you're scared the most, and where your biggest challenge. And also it's kind of your call to action. Like where Pluto is, it's where you're supposed to face this fear, not just know that you have it, but you are supposed to try to find ways to face this fear. And so in the cycle of the hero's journey, you're going to be in one of these areas, somewhere in between. The first stop on the hero's journey is the hero's in this very comfortable place. It's a little too comfortable, and they really need to change and grow. They need to do something a little different. So maybe in the case of this first house Pluto, the hero could be, you could be comfortable with the facade that you're wearing. Like it's not, like there's a big deal with authenticity here, especially in this first house, especially with Pluto and Capricorn. So you want to be your authentic self. Underneath that that's what you kind of crave and what you admire in others. Yet at the same time, and maybe you've stripped away a lot of stuff that's not really you. You've done a good job at that. And maybe you have gotten closer and closer to being your authentic self, but there's this one last mask that's hard to get rid of. This one last bastion of hiding yourself that just a little too comfortable. And if you strip that away, what would happen? It would be too much. It would be too scary. Maybe, I don't know what it would be. Since this has to do with your career, maybe you're not willing to call yourself what you really want to call yourself, or maybe you want to change careers and be something different, but you're scared what people might think. I don't know exactly, but there's something about your image. If you're fully yourself, that's just a little too scary, and so you're comfortable hanging on to a little bit of a mask or something that kind of covers you up a little bit. That could be something like that. And so you hide. You're hiding a little bit. That could be a place of stuckness. And that's the first stop on the hero's journey. Second stop is the call to action, the call to leave your comfort zone. So maybe some of you are in that stage. You've gotten rid of the facade. You're being who you are very transparently. You're not trying to cover anything up, and you just decide to be yourself. And so you're out on that high adventure, the road of high adventure, of being yourself and not covering up who you are. But there are challenges to that, because not everybody's going to like it, and sometimes it's still scary. But you find friends along the way. There's help because people are drawn to you for being authentic, maybe. And then it's, there's still some fun adventure quality to being yourself. What does that feel like? Not trying to cover anything up. Then there's this place on every hero's journey where it's just like the challenge is too great. You reach a point of hopelessness. You're tired emotionally, physically, spiritually, and you just don't feel you can go further. Maybe you get a huge rejection somewhere, maybe in love. By being yourself, you might get rejected in love, and it's just too much. Like, how can it be that you did this brave thing and you're transparent and you're yourself, and then you get rejected so harshly? That's horrible feeling. How do you come back from that? And so in the hero's tale, the hero always does. It may be hard, it may be inch by inch, but the hero comes out of the dark place and goes back to kind of in a sense of celebration, like I'm out of that now, And it's also a time when they come out and they're celebrating to give back to the community, maybe help others who are stuck or in a hard place, or having a hard time being themselves, whatever. And then they go back into a place of comfort and start all over again, maybe with a different hero's journey. So where are you in that? There are different places of being stuck. One is the stuck in comfort, not wanting to change anything. One's being stuck in the dark place. But there are other, even on that high road of adventure, a hero could have a hard time accepting help from others, and accepting the friendships that come in, holding people at arm's length and a distance, or sometimes relying too much on others and not learning to rely on themselves. In the celebration phase and the giving back phase, a hero could get stuck in celebrating and feeling like, well done, you know, I will never have to have another hero's adventure again. And maybe in celebration stuckness, it could be going off in a weird direction and going down kind of a rabbit hole of partying too much or drinking drugs. There are a variety of ways a person could get lost there in celebration mode. Maybe the ego could take over, so there are like wormholes there. But then a person can also get stuck in the giving back phase and always feel kind of like a martyr, always like they're giving back and they can't do anything else except that. So where are you? See if you can identify what your first house issue is with Pluto, what you're scared of most, and where you are on the cycle. Because there's so many variety of ways. I can't give you advice. There are too many people and pieces of the puzzle, but sometimes it's just useful to know where you are in the cycle and to identify what's scaring you. All right, take care. Hi, Aquarius. So we are talking about the hero's journey in May. Of course, it spans beyond May. It's going on now and way past May, but I thought maybe it's a good time to bring up this idea again. I've talked about it before, but we're just going to review it. So Pluto drives the hero's journey. It's where we're in this long cycle of going into the light, into the dark, into the light, into the dark, which is a big part of the hero's tale. And it's also where our fears are and where our biggest strengths are. So that's part and parcel of the hero's journey. And so your Pluto is in your 12th house, which is an interesting place to have it. So in the 12th house, it could be that you've got some secrets and some things about yourself that scare you to bits. And you fear if they ever got out, if people ever understood who you really were, what you really did in private, what your thoughts really were, that something really horrible would happen. So you're scared of yourself sometimes. You're scared of what goes on in your mind, some of the stuff you've done in private, some of the stuff really, really, it's like, creates nightmares and haunts you somewhat. Another way this could go would be that you've been working maybe with a therapist or doing a lot of work on yourself, but there's still some fear there. You're still on the journey. You're not done with that journey. So that is where Pluto is hitting. And there could also be like an issue of another person in your world who's struggling emotionally or psychologically. And there's fear around that. But with respect to you, it's the parts of your own self that scare you, parts of your past, and things that you're embarrassed about, maybe. So that could be quite hard. That's tricky. That's tricky. So, and it takes a lot of courage when it's back here. You know, it takes a lot of courage to deal with this particular 12th house Pluto. So I hand it to you. I have to hand it to you for just being here and coping somehow. You're still here. So the cycle of the hero's journey, it always begins with the hero being a little too comfortable. You know, they're just, whatever the situation is, they're just a little too comfortable. They don't want to change it because it's too, like, why change? You know, I'm not happy where I am. It's not perfect. Yes, I want my life to change, but I have it pretty good. I mean, I am pretty comfortable. Like, why rock the boat? Sort of the way it goes, especially here. Especially with, like, if you're not doing work with a therapist and you're like, I don't know if I want to get into all that, or I've done therapy before, and just the idea of, you're like, I don't want to, why? You know, I'm okay. I don't have to go. Or why face these dark parts of my psyche where I'm embarrassed about something? Why go there, you know? Because my life is okay. I'm getting by without looking in that dark closet of my mind where I have some shame and fear about that part of myself. Like, if I can just, like, walk past that closet every day and not open it, you know, I'm doing okay. You know, do I wish it could be better? Yeah. Does it still scare me and make me okay? Yeah. But, you know, I'm just kind of managing. But, so that's the stuck place of being a little too comfortable, not wanting to rock the boat, because what would happen? But then in the hero saga, the hero is always kicked out of the comfort zone. At some point, something happens. Something happens in the fictional land of the hero's journey. And it's the same way in real life, where if you're trying to keep a secret or cover up something about yourself, it just gets exposed. And then there you are. Or, you know, you just finally, you know, somebody makes you go to a therapist, or I don't know what your instance is, but somehow life kicks you out of the comfort zone. You have to go on this road of high adventure, face some challenges, but usually help arrives. Maybe it's a therapist. Maybe something gets uncovered about you, or somebody learns something about you you wish they didn't know, but maybe they're like really supportive and they're caring and nurturing, and so help arrives, and you're on this road of kind of exhilarating, you know, actually, you know, you're free, you have help. And then there's always inevitably this place in the hero's journey where it just seems like too much. Like, why didn't you just keep that secret? Why didn't you just stay where you were? Why did you ever start this therapy thing? Because all you do is cry. Now you realize you have to leave your marriage, or now you realize you have to leave your job. Why couldn't you just not go to therapy and deal, you know, maybe you could have just left it the way it was, because now it sucks and it's hard and I'm exhausted and I can't deal with it. You know, then there's that place of darkness, you know, being kind of stuck there. And then the hero, because it's a hero, you're a hero, you get out of it somehow. You get some kind of little renewed strength. Bit by bit, you have the strength to cope with whatever has arisen in your life as a result of getting kicked out of your comfort zone, and you move forward. And you grow, and you gain some maturity and some wisdom. And then you can kind of feel good and pat yourself on the back. You can celebrate. And then there's also this idea of giving back. You gain some wisdom, you could share it. You know, why not share it with others? And then it starts all over again. So where are you on that wheel? You're maybe somewhere, you may be going back and forth. It's not always linear, you know. Sometimes people go back and forth between the phases. They might go backward a little bit, then forward. Where are you? Sometimes it's just good to start to try to identify where you're fearful, where you're stuck, where your challenge is, and then see where you are in this cycle. See if you can identify it. All right, take care. Hi Pisces, so we are talking about your hero's journey, where you are, what's scaring you, what your challenge is, and where are you in the cycle of the hero's tale. You're somewhere within it. And so for the typical Pisces, Pluto, which drives your hero's journey, it's the place where all your fears are located. Maybe not every single one of them, but where the big fear is. And it's also where your big courage and strength is at the same time. They're all locked in there together. For a Pisces, Pluto is occupying the 11th house. So for a lot of Pisces, the future itself is scaring the bejesus out of you. I mean, the future, something about looking into the future is hard for you. It scares you to look into the future. You don't want to spend too much time thinking about it, because something about it, there's a story you're telling yourself about your future that's scaring you. You know, some people, like a lot of women have the bag lady. I don't know what the guy's version of this is, but a lot of women have the bag lady fear about their future, like, that they're never going to have enough money to care for themselves. And so they don't want to spend too much time thinking about their future because there's that fear walking around in there. And if they look at their future, that fear is going to be more, front and center, and then they have to deal with it. So just don't go there. Don't plan. Don't even think. Don't make plans. Don't allow yourself to make plans. And there's also an area of larger groups of friends, maybe getting online. Some Pisces might have a fear of being online, getting involved in groups online, getting involved in groups. Like, people scare you. It's funny because Pisces actually are like people lovers, but getting in larger groups right now for you, it may not have always been true for you in your life, but this is like not your thing. You have a fear, but at the same time, Pluto says this is where you want to push a little bit against that fear and face it. Maybe you need to be out there. It's a little bit about leadership too, and being in the public eye, being willing to be seen. So part of you doesn't want to be seen too much. Like, you want to be seen a little bit maybe, because Pisces is a little bit of a prima donna, so Pisces always wants to be seen a little bit, but you're also wanting to hide lately. You don't want everyone to see you. You're scared of being seen fully. And so if you put yourself out in the public eye, then you'll be so exposed. So there's something like that going on, and you don't want to be too exposed. And the future, something about the future is hard for you. So think about those themes. And the cycle of the hero's journey is this. It starts with the hero being in a place that's a little too comfortable. And they know maybe they need to move out of whatever this comfort area is. Like, maybe, they're a little hidden in your case, like the Pisces is a little hidden. They need to do something that puts them out in the open a little bit more. They need to be seen a little bit more. They know that. Maybe it's because they need to go look for a job, so they have to expose themselves, go through interviews. Maybe they want new friends. Maybe they want to start dating, but they don't want to go on Match.com. They don't want to, what if their friends don't like them? What if people don't like them? Blah, 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 all the fears. So there's this idea of being stuck and staying a little bit hidden in that instance. But somewhere, the Pisces hero, some of you might be stuck in this place a little too comfortable, and to grow and change, you'd have to leave that comfort zone, and that's scary. Then they're the Pisces. Eventually they get, inevitably on the hero's journey, you get kicked out of your comfort zone. Something pushes you out of it anyway, because you won't do it yourself. Life's going to do it for you, and then there you are. So you're on the road of high adventure, and it's a little bit exciting and exhilarating, as well as challenging and scary, but you're doing it. Maybe you started online dating. Maybe you started to make new friends. Maybe you started to do some planning around your future, even though there's that specter of the bag lady or whatever. But you've started to deal with that fear, and you're on the road. And then help arrives. Like, you do have friends, and resources arrive, and you're feeling good, but you're facing your fears. And then there's this part of the journey where something big happens, where you're really scared, and you think you probably can't move forward. Like, now you've met someone online after trying to date, and you really like this person. Crap. Now what? Run and hide, move forward. You're stuck in this place of despair because relationships in the past maybe were painful, and you're scared of intimacy. What if you mess it up? What if you get hurt? You're stuck. And maybe even running away from the relationship. And then in the hero's journey, the hero, because you're a hero, finds a way out of that dark place. There's a way to move forward. There's always a way. Finds a little hope and is able to move forward. And then maybe if we use the relationship story idea, the Pisces hero in that case might move forward in that relationship and really grow in that relationship, and maybe get married. And then there's this sense of celebration and happiness, and come through it all. And then with that, there's also this idea of giving back. So maybe helping other people who are stuck, helping other people who are scared of bag lady syndrome, giving back to the community, giving back somehow from the wisdom you gained. and then it starts all over again. So where are you in that? It may not be the relationship. It may not be the bag lady thing, but there's something about the future, something about groups of people and friends, charitable organizations, people in power might scare you. You might be scared of your own power. What's scaring you, and where are you in the cycle? Sometimes, I mean, it's too much to go into like on a one-to-one thing here. You can always contact me, but where are you in this? Sometimes it's good just to have this frame of reference for yourself. All right, take care.